Hi guys, it's World Book Day week, and to celebrate, I thought I would do a reading from one of my books each day this week. So you'll be able to find them all on my Instagram account, on my webpage, which is www.mattbeaton.co.uk. And as always, if you enjoy what you hear and you want to find out more, you can head to my webpage, or you can find all of my books on all good online retailers, or you can go into your local bookstores and ask them, and they will be able to order them through. So today's reading is going to be from my book of playground poetry called Tig You're It. And the poems in here are kind of mostly based around school life, my kind of experiences being a teacher and also being a child. Um, they're all supposed to be silly, funny. There are a couple more serious ones in there and a couple that are just about life in general rather than being based in school. I'm going to read you two poems from it today. The first one, Tig You're It, is the titular poem from the book, and the second one is my interpretation of the classic story of Goldilocks. Okay, we'll start with Tig You're It. Thump, thump, thump. My heart pounds in my chest. Thump, thump, thump. My breath comes shallow, mist forming in the air as I stare through a window lined with sticks out onto the battlefield. Shadows flitting by. It won't be long now. Thump, thump, thump. My heart echoes through my ribs. Thump, thump, thump. Eyes dry as I force them open, not daring to blink. They'll even hear me think about escaping, running from this hide. It'll soon be time. Thump, thump, thump. My heart slows down. Time is running out for them. I doubt they'll find me now when suddenly from behind, bursting through the trees, an arm pokes me on the shoulder. This is it, I surrender. A war cry fills the sky. Tig, you're it, he says and leaves. My heart stops beating. What's the point now? Outcast until lunch, maybe even longer. Everyone will know as we sit there in maths that it's me, I'm it. As lonely as a single cloud or Thomas who picks his nose, I'm the only one on my team and everybody knows there's only one thing left to do, the honourable way to cope with such a life-changing catastrophe. I'm changing schools tomorrow. Okay, and the next poem is called Goldilocks. I don't know if you were ever told about the girl with locks of gold who often wandered in the woods, rarely getting up to good. Instead, she'd often run amok. She went by the name of Goldilocks. For miles around and then some more, they'd lock the windows and bar the door. They'd set alarms and rang the cops as soon as they glimpsed her golden locks. But nevertheless, she was never charged and for many years remained at large, breaking and entering and stealing things, like Grandma's knickers or ruby rings. The best policemen were often stumped and would arrive to find they'd been gazumped, or were just too late to foil her plot. She was out the window, had taken the lot. Once or twice they had her nicked, but nothing they threw would ever stick, and she'd always leave with a knowing smile, but they kept her DNA on file, a decision that would soon prove key when it came to solving case 3B. On Sunday morning, just past 6, the wench set out to get her fix of stealing stuff that wasn't hers. She had her eyes on Grandma's furs. She was in the woods and on the prowl when her pesky stomach began to growl. She wanted something warm and sweet, a tasty, yummy, sticky treat. She wanted it quick, and time was tight. There wasn't a fast food place in sight. The only joint for miles around was a tiny cabin in humble grounds. With thoughts well suited to a vagabond, in through the door slipped our craven blonde. The first thing she thought was, they've got nought except for a bowl of porridge oats. But always one to beg and steal, the gal sat down and stole a meal. The first bowl was, she'd later cry, far too cold and way too dry. The second bowl, worse by far, was far too hot and thick as tar. With options fading, she came at last to one last chance to break her fast. The final bowl was warm and sweet, and the devilish girl sat down to eat. She wolfed it down and licked the spoon, afraid the owners would be back soon. Feeling stuffed and slightly sick, she looked around for stuff to nick. The walls were covered in expensive art. The tricky part was where to start. But first things first, to put up her feet, she looked around and picked a seat. Once again there were choices 3. She pounced on one with a girlish glee. The first was big and bruised her bottom. The next was broken, lumpy and rotten. The third, of course, was right on spec, and our fiendish girl thought, blinking heck, if I weren't here to commit a crime, this seat would do me mighty fine. In the end, she up and tried to find somewhere to rest her eyes. A trio of beds she found next door. It's surely better than the floor. Of course, you know how this bit goes. From bed to bed she had a nose before she finally settled down on the smallest one in a dressing gown. It wasn't long before she learned the owners of the house had returned. Three gruesome and angry hairy bears. It's then our villainous girl despaired. As quick as a whip she fled the scene. The mess she'd left was quite obscene. She knew if caught it was jail for sure. Without a thought she was out the door. She didn't know, but somewhere there she'd left an errant golden hair. It was a perfect match for case 3B to convict our girl of her sin larceny. The judge she drew was widely dreaded, and sentenced her to be beheaded no later than dawn at the village stocks. And that was the end of Goldilocks. Okay, so if you've enjoyed those and you want to read more about different things in the schoolyard, so if you want to know what you need to do, if you need to trump in class, find out who the lost souls of the playground are, find out my views on tests, swimming lessons, the tiger who came to dance. There are lots and lots of poems in there. So if you want to find out more about those, you can buy Tig You're It from all the usual places, online, your local bookshop. Yeah, so grab it, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks for listening.